I'm Terry Marcotte. Time now for the Wally and Methot Show. Here are your hosts, Brent Wallace and Mark Methot.
Those are the dulcet tones of one Terry Marcotte, a broadcasting legend. Terry has a new book coming out hopefully soon. We'll look forward to seeing that. Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. I'm Brent Wallace. He's Mark Methot. Meth, I just got one question for you, and that is, what have you been up to the past couple of days?
Not a whole lot. Just stirring some stuff up maybe on social media, but otherwise, pretty relaxed day.
Really? Okay, because I would like to maybe set this day up a little bit better, because on Tuesday, we talked at about 4:30. Everything seemed fine. I go to make dinner as I normally do every night. At 5 o'clock, my phone starts to explode because you decided you would take to Twitter with the following tweet. Now, let me just read this to you. Ottawa will have a much better team than Toronto in 2 to 3 years. Won't even be close. Mr. Methot, you have some explaining to do.
How do I word this politely? I was sitting on the couch. I wasn't really doing anything. I was kind of trying to create a little bit of discourse and at the same time just speaking my mind. And I mean, there was no real reason for it. I just thought, you know what, I'm going to throw a little floater out there and see if anyone bites. And there's a little bit of truth to it. I do stand by it to a degree, but I mean, my phone, I mean, I've been completely attacked by Leaf Nation since I posted that. So I'm just kind of handling it, I guess, tweet by tweet here.
Well, thanks for the heads up, because I thought we were just going to ease into our show, you know, like dip our toes into the water. And then this happened. You're on Chicklets, you're on TSN, you're everywhere.
Well, yeah, but Wally, the problem is there's two different types of fans, right? You have the legitimate level-headed ones, and you have the K-pop style, obsessive, weird Twitter avatar fans that are like pure vitriol when it comes to chirping you. And I'm in there, you know, like Jon Snow with the sword, like defending myself with like this army of Leaf fans coming at me. And I'm just speaking my mind. You can't blame me for that.
No, but you are certainly all on your own in that one.
Yeah, well, you're all on your own when you bought that sweater, Wally, because it's so distracting. I can't even speak right now. Look, what is that? It's like a weird hybrid hockey jersey that I don't even want to know where you bought it.
Okay, wait, this is solid. And furthermore, I know you may not know this, but all I had are suits in my closet. Like I would shovel the driveway in my suit before I went to work. So I needed to update the clothing, and everything I had a TSN logo on it. So I went out the other day, got new clothes, boom, picked up this beauty. Now here's the problem. You know, besides what you think it looks like, I go in the changing room to try these on. I put a white t-shirt underneath. When I pull it over top, there's like a library of tags. I've got them I cut my nose. So now I'm bleeding. And I'm afraid I'm going to get it on the sweater and on the white t-shirt. I'm terrified. I'm trying to, it's a mess. But anyway, I like it. I think it's stylish. I've got you one for Christmas. So don't be surprised, because we are going to look good together at the club. Okay,
let's just move on.
All right, let's move on to Bobby Ryan. He's coming on the show. Super excited to have him. Of course, you played with him for a couple of seasons. You had that great playoff run in 2017. You would have spent a lot of time probably on the road with Bobby. So what's he like to travel with?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. Bob, we call him Bob. You know what? He's quirky. He's like me. So we go on the road. There's this thing we do. We liked our early dinners. So Bobby and I always got along in that respect. You got the group of players like Eric Carlson and Dion Phaneuf, who I played with at that time that year as well. And they'd like to go eat at like 8 o'clock. It wasn't our style. Not only are we avoiding big groups and credit card games that get incredibly expensive, Bobby and I were just very, very much on the same page with that, where we could just go do an early dinner and then head home. And I don't want to make Bob sound like a weirdo, because he's incredibly approachable and he's a really nice guy. You could run into him at the mall. You could be a fan and he'll talk your ear off for 10 minutes. But other than that, he's a homebody. We both like to stay home. We don't like getting out of the house. And that's where we kind of related. We're always on the same page.
So since you didn't like the credit card game, I'm curious then, who paid for dinner when you two went out?
We'd split it down the middle.
Come on.
It didn't matter. Yeah, it didn't matter. And we were the same, you know, like very much, the same kind of drinks, either Diet Coke, sparkling water, or maybe a glass of wine at the time. And we'd have a steak dinner, split it down the middle, go back to our rooms. That was it. And it was just like, instant chemistry, which is again, why I think we got along so well.
So in that credit card game, if you ever got caught in it, were you trying to get to the bathroom at the time it came out? Like, how were you weaseling your way out of that?
Well, that was only when we'd get caught out with big groups, right? And at that point, once you're sitting down with the table, you don't want to be known as like a super cheap guy. But I mean, at that point, the cat's already out of the bag. Everyone already knows. But once you're there, you can't bail. You're in. You just got to suck it up and put your card in the hat, wait for the waitress or waiter to come by and grab the last card. And if you're stuck with it and it's a $2,000 bill or whatever it may be, you're paying.
So were you like perhaps not answering your phone at around 5 o'clock, maybe 5:30 when people were going out?
Well, eventually we would just ignore calls. We just go off on our own. We go to our own restaurant, and it was just less of a production. You know, for Bobby and I, an ideal group, we would cap it at 4 players. We'd never go above that because logistically it turns into a nightmare when you're going to a restaurant. So 4 guys, it's easy to get a good table at a nice spot, and there's no stress. You go to dinner, you're not worried about paying, $1,500 at the end of the night. It's your own meal with your per diem, and then you go home.
Okay, finally, who are the 2 other people on your dinner list?
You know what? At the time, and I'm not saying these guys are cheap because they would float with other groups, but I've eaten with like Mark Stone and Zach Smith, Eric Condra back in the day when he was still with the Sens. But I'd gone with, like, when I go with Dion and Eric, for example, it's just like nice, expensive wine and late dinner. And I'd have anxiety the whole time because I knew the bill was going to be ridiculous at the end of the night. So I didn't even enjoy myself.
I'll keep that in mind the next time we're going out for dinner. All right.
Don't start, man.
Let's move on. We'll get to the headlines so we can quickly get to Bobby Ryan. Here we go. Headlines for today. Number 1, Chuck Norris is back. The line juggling continues, and now Drake Batherson back with Brady Tkachuk and Josh Norris. Rollover DJ. Meth, I'm going to ask you, if you're DJ Smith and you can make one lineup change, what is it? Top of the bottom. Which bottom 6 forward would you like to see not taken out of the lineup? Number 4, Wreck-It Ralph. What is going on in Buffalo? They've now lost 10 straight games. And the Great North Revision. Oh, we're going back to the Leafs. I can tell already. So we're going to ask you what's going on with the North Division. But first, let's start with Brady Tkachuk, Josh Norris, and Drake Batherson are back together. Should they just leave them there?
I mean, I wouldn't mess with that. You've got a good thing going right now. And to me, the most amazing thing, and I was watching the game the other night, I believe it was the game against Calgary. No, it was the game against Edmonton. And that Kara took a run at Norris. And sometimes as a young player, you might kind of get into a bit of a shell after a play like that because the physical play might be a little too much or whatever it is. But I love their response. They just kept pressing. And that seems to be the culture that's being built around that hockey club right now. There's just great pushback. He didn't let off the pedal and he kept going. And that speaks to all the other young guys on the team too. I'm just loving because they're driving the bus right now. Those young kids are the heart and soul of that team moving forward. So what a pleasant surprise right now with the emergence of these young players. I mean, just positive things moving forward into the next season.
Okay. Rollover DJ. So you have one chance to make a decision. We're going to make you coach for a day. Now, it seems like the forward lines are looking pretty good right now. So I'm going to guess it's got something to do with the blue line.
Yeah, well, the significant hole on the team, there's no question, is the goaltending at times with the inconsistencies and obviously the decor. And for me, I don't think it's a secret. Having Zub with Shabbat would be your ideal situation, because he complements him perfectly. He happens to be a right-handed shot in Zub. So that would be the ideal pairing, but then you leave big holes on the second and third pairing. So he's been playing. It seems like Zub's the cooler right now, and anybody you put him with seems to really level out with their game and play well. And right now that's Riley. So I don't know what you do and what you tinker with. I know Willanen is the big question among Sens fans right now, and how do you get him back into the lineup? But for now, it's just playing the waiting game. And I know we've got some pretty good prospects coming in through the system with JBD and a couple other guys, but you can't rely on that. These guys are coming out of college. So you got to work with what you have and hope that your goaltending maybe gets a little more consistent and can steal you a couple more games.
Do you need to leave Shabbat alone a little bit? Like, is he playing too much right now?
And that's something you and I spoke about, right? I brought that up the other day. I worry about that a little bit. I know he was playing closer to 30 minutes a game, I believe, last season, or at least it seemed like it. And they've tapered him down.
Time last season.
Well, yeah. And this year he's 4th, right? So to me, that's justifiable on a team that's in contention, or you're making a strong playoff push, or you're already in that spot. and you're just trying to win games no matter what. And as a coach, that's your approach. You don't care about the progression or what's going to happen in a couple of years. You're all you care about is right now. And with DJ Smith, the coach, he just wants to win in the now. So maybe it's a management thing where they got to come down and tell him to taper off, because we know with playing big minutes throughout your career, it causes a lot of wear and tear on players. And that's no secret. We've seen it happen to a lot of guys. So that's something I'm a little concerned about, especially seeing with Shabbat and playing a lot of D-zone hard minutes against top lines. You don't want to see him taper down over the next couple of years. You want to see him progress.
All right. Which bottom six forward would you not take out of the lineup right now?
Oh, I hate that question. I hate it because there's not a whole lot I tinker with. Right now, I'm loving Nick Paul's game. I'm loving Colin White's game. They're fantastic. Even Watson's playing really well. He's playing a ton of PK minutes. But if there's one guy I have to choose, I'll probably have to go with Nick Paul, just because I'm biased towards the big guy. He seems to be handling the puck really well through the neutral zone with tons of confidence. He's made some big strides, and he's come a long way through the farm system. He's paid his dues. I can relate to that in a sense. So for me right now, it's Nick Paul. He's my favorite bottom six.
Okay, we're going to switch and go to Buffalo. Now, this seems to be two organizations that are rebuilding. We're talking about Ottawa and Buffalo, but Buffalo just seems to be on a whole different level right now. What is going on? Do we need to move perhaps a coach out, or is it Jack Eichel? What needs to change to turn this around? They haven't won a game in the month of March in regulation in 4 years.
Yeah, that's not good. And the first thing that comes to mind when I hear these stats about Buffalo, because I've always enjoyed playing there, are just the fans. They've got such a loyal fan base. It's a great sports town. And it's been years, right, since they've had any real success. So, and naturally, everyone's going to point the finger at the coach initially, right? You're going to look at Kruger and be like, well, he's going to be in the crosshairs because he's the easiest piece to move. As we all know, in pro sports, you can't get rid of an entire roster mid-season. So naturally, to appease your fan base, you might look at the head coach, but I think it runs deeper than that. It could potentially be a leadership issue in the room. Maybe the expectation level was way too high for this group going into the year. You also have all that money in term locked in with Okposo and with Jeff Skinner, and they're combined, I don't know, 7 or 8 points right now between the two of them. And I've had the pleasure of playing with them both great guys. You know, like Skins is a great guy and very quiet, works really hard. So, you know, maybe it's a bit of an inconsistency in between the pipes. The D-core might be a little underperforming right now. And then obviously with the lack of goal scoring up front, it's just a big combination of a bunch of stuff. It's a perfect storm and it's not going well. But what can you do in this moment? They're going to have to blow the roster up if this continues.
Okay, I want to go back to the North Division, but I'm afraid to ask you anything around the Toronto Maple Leafs. But I'm going to go there anyway. So what do you make of this North Division? And is there a Stanley Cup contender in this group?
Yes, there is a contender. And this goes against every moral fiber in my body.
Don't do it. Do not say it.
Well, but I got to be honest, right? So despite maybe a little trolling, for me, your clear-cut favorite probably in the NHL right now is Toronto. The Leafs right now have rounded off, and I love this. They've rounded off their D-core. They've improved significantly on their PK, and the numbers aren't lying. They've gone from, bottom tier last year, 21, 22, I think, on PK to mid-tier to the top end. I think around 11th in the league. So they're playing great. And we know they don't have any trouble scoring. And initially, I thought maybe it was like, okay, it could be a conversation of whether the North is really even that good of a division. That was my initial thought, that they were weaker. But now that I'm seeing teams around the league struggle big time, and I'm not overly impressed with some of those bottom teams in some of the other divisions, and Ottawa's trending upwards with the way they've been playing lately. I don't see the North being as weak as maybe we initially thought they are. So the team to beat, in my opinion, I know Tampa and Vegas are playing great, but the team right now is Toronto. It hurts me to say this. I'm sorry, Sens fans, but that's just the reality.
I just can't believe you go from saying that the Leafs or Ottawa has a better chance of being a Stanley Cup contender 2 years to now.
Wally, that's in 3 years from now. I'm talking about right now. And people are losing it on me, and they're getting gutless and they're spewing venom at me, but that's a prediction for 3 seasons from now. I'm talking about right now. I mean, they look great. I can't find too many holes. And I forgot all the veterans they've added, and good ones, like Simmons, Thornton, and Spezza. I can't forget Spez that they brought in obviously last year. So, I mean, the team looks fantastic.
All right. I can't do this anymore with the Leafs. We're going to move on. And we're going to get to,
Good call.
to Bobby Ryan. We're going to ask him how cheap he actually is and if he really did pay for any of your meals. All right. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the Wally and Methot Show. Okay, welcome back to the show. Pleased to be joined by Bobby Ryan. And Bobby, before we begin, Meth made this big deal that the two of you like to go out for dinner together on the road, but neither one of you would pay. So kind of like you would split the bill. Now, can you maybe give us your version of events?
No, I mean, he's pretty accurate. I would tell you the one thing that Meth and I don't think I had more one-on-one dinners in my career than anybody with Meth. And it was because we liked to go at like 6 o'clock. So we were done by 7:30 at the very latest, and back to your room with a chew and a movie by 7:45 at the latest back in the day. So this was a while ago, but yeah, he's right. Like it was to the point where it was like, okay, are you going to buy this one? I'll buy the next one. We were going to lose track. So yeah, we would just split the bill every time. It just made it easier. And then back in the day, it was like, who had that extra glass of wine that crushed the pot?
Exactly.
So, yeah. So now I can't, financially I can't split with him anymore because I'm drinking soda water and he's having, 2 glasses of Pinot Noir. It's not going to.
But we were conservative. We were conservative with our wine choices. Like I was telling Wally, like we go out with like Eric and Dion, and they'd order like some ridiculous bottle that was unnecessary. You and I were like that $15 to $20 per glass range.
Yeah.
Which is conservative in the NHL at least.
Yeah.
And they were just going over the top or by the bottle, so.
No, you had to have a $500 dinner every time. And it was like, why? We ate the same food and drank the same wine just out of the street, and it was a lot cheaper. But on top of that, we'd be coming back from dinner and they'd be going out to dinner. And I was like, I need to be in my room by 7:30 at the latest because I take 2 hours to shut it down.
So I'm just curious, then if somebody added an extra appetizer, was there like a little question mark when you looked at them with a little stink eye?
No, we weren't too chintzy with that. I wouldn't say.
No, that's aggressive. We weren't that bad, Wally. Wally's taking any opportunity here to take a jab at me, and it's unbelievable. Like this guy with his shirt he's wearing, like he's got no say.
You're reaching.
Nice. I'm going to say my wife bought it, and then you won't be able to complain about it.
All
right. Okay, I want to talk back to Detroit last night. You guys in the first period are playing this game and the horn is going off constantly. And I don't know if I've seen this in a long time. What's it like to play that game?
It wasn't anything different. They got it hammered out by the second period, but the first one kind of interrupted the flow. And it actually stopped the play. And that was a good thing for us. They were in the zone setting up the BP and they just crossed the line and were getting. Who's that?
That's the horn.
Oh,
I just thought you'd feel comfortable with that.
Now it works. Yeah. So I did, damn it. Cause I was just about to say what a small deal it was after the first time. It was nothing. There was just that slight hesitation you could see with whoever had the puck, whoever was making the decision, but really, really a small thing.
Okay. Coronavirus it's a year ago that you played that last game and you scored one of the final goals of the last season. What has it been like, I guess, when you look back a year from the last time you played? Can you kind of put into perspective, I guess, that last final game that you had no idea, obviously, the next day what was going on?
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't realize there was no expectation at the time. I think before we went on the ice, we had found out the NBA had canceled, and we were fortunate because Ron Hainsey, who's such a big part of the PA, was up to date. I mean, up to minute with everything. And we were concerned about getting the game started at this point. So it was around and in the locker room, it was prevalent, but there was still no sense that it was going to be the last game. I think we all left that game thinking it's going to be 2 weeks off to identify things. And here we are a year later. And in the very, grand scheme, at least we're back to work and we're playing. But yeah, there was a lot of uncertainty there. We got the game off. When we went to bed that night, we weren't sure. We were waking up in the morning. We were either going to Chicago or going back to Ottawa, and didn't know until we got on the plane. So it was weird. It was looking back, it was my last game as an Ottawa Senator, and I kind of wish it had been a different game than that. That's for sure.
I was going to ask you. We'll get to Detroit in a sec. I want to know, are you disappointed? Perhaps you didn't get a chance to say goodbye to the fans. I know you did send a note out, but that you really didn't get to play that game, if you will.
Yeah, I guess. But even if it had happened and it was the last game of the regular season, there's no way to say goodbye before you get bought out, right? So you have no clue what's coming. but I would have liked to finish the last 11 games from a personal standpoint. I missed a lot of hockey last year. Would have liked it. And I felt like I was rolling and getting back to my, the player that I wanted to be. And I've been able to extend that a little bit here in Detroit, but to get 8 games in after the year that I had, was good in one sense, but to have it cut short, I probably was the only player on that team that was like, let's finish, let's get back to work, because, I hadn't been through that grind that they had 50 some games.
And you were playing well. So I'll go back to the Vancouver game because I know I'm going to ask about it at some point, and that is, you score the hat trick. Do you have any sense up until perhaps the third goal, how big a game this was going to be for you?
None whatsoever. Just coming back, I was glad I got the game in Nashville out of the way, and could feel my legs and could feel the puck again. Really wasn't looking for anything other than, I obviously want to contribute, but I was just looking to, after the layoff and the amount of times I skated by myself during that stretch with a goalie and whatever it might be. I was skating with a junior B goalie at one point. I was talking to Meth about it. All the hoops I had to jump through was just a nightmare. So to get back and play in any sense, I was happy. And, to score early, I think it was my first or second shift. And then to kind of, how it goes, you feel better after that. You feel like, even if your legs aren't there, you feel better after scoring and things open up for you. So as it built through the game, I didn't see that coming at all.
Did you have, I guess, much of a reaction? Well, when you got home, I know that you and Danielle had a chat, but I'm just curious about the one thing I get asked about the most is the interview that you and I had post-game. And the fact that I barely kept it together. And I'm curious of what it was like for you on the other side as you all. And so you said one line, and I'll never forget it as long as I live. And that is, I just wanted my wife to be proud of me. And that's when I almost lost it. And so I'm just curious of what it's like for you to, I guess, live that moment.
It was, it was the most exhausting day I've ever been through. And that's saying a lot, because the 100 days leading up to that had some really long, and, especially the first 30 days. And, the day I left and the day that it came out that why I left, like those were all long days, but they were negative days. This was a positive day. And, it was a different day, I guess is the best way to put it. I remember getting home, and I normally, after a good game like that, you have a tough time winding down and getting ready to go to bed. And I was physically and emotionally just wrung. Like I couldn't get to bed quick enough to get past it. I answered as many texts as I could in 35 minutes, and then I shut it down. I was relieved the day was over. The next 2 days were exhausting. I think we played not the next day, that, practice day off and whatever, and then played. And I couldn't get my motor back to where I wanted to, because I was still, like, my shoulders were sore. You know how that Meth would know, like your lower back, that stress that is there. I was like, my God, I feel like I'm 40 today. And and it had nothing to do with hockey, right? I was just
but Bob, you love the hot tub though. You could just melt in there for like 30 minutes to warm up, right? I still remember playing with Bob. You'd see him there in the morning with a chew, sitting in the hot tub, just butt ass naked, trying to warm up.
Yeah, just get the body like the towel draped over one side, chew, little energy drink over here, hidden from everybody. It just, you got to do what you got to do. And it was to the point where I was like, I don't feel like getting out yet. So I'd sit on the side and just keep the feet in and watch Sports Center.
That's right.
And the next day might've been my longest hot tub ever. That's for sure.
Awesome.
What about now that you are in Detroit? Has it been as good as you hoped it would be? Just because you started and you're in a new team, so you end up scoring, is it 4 goals in 3 games or 3 goals in 4 games? I can't remember which one it was, but I know you set a record, I think, of what it was like to, I guess, get off to that kind of start.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to think you could set any kind of record with the Detroit Red Wings or any kind of franchise. Like, you just think everything's done. I remember when I came and they were like, what number do you want to wear? 9's not feasible, obviously. Then I went to 12 and 16 and 17, and like, they're all retired. Like so just to have anything, and it's, now you're reaching for records at this point, right? So I guess to have that is a cool thing in some sense, but coming here has been great. Detroit gets a terrible rep, and Meth can tell you, like, you can't walk outside the hotel. There's just, number one, there's nowhere to go. I think they've done a really good job downtown of making it better, especially around where they put the rink. there's some restaurants and things, but the suburbs are gorgeous. 20 minutes from the rink, we're in Bloomfield Hills. It's incredible. Meth, did you play in the new rink?
Once. Yeah.
One
and it
game,
was way because that old area where we would stay in Wally, I'm sure you're aware. Remember that old GM place hotel or at the Westin? You'd be right there downtown. Like you said, you couldn't step outside. Like Wally, I'm sure you've been there several times. You can't really go anywhere because
it's the scariest walk I ever had in my life. I had my wife on the phone going, we're crossing this street right now because people were coming and literally asking us for money. And we knew that we had to give it or we weren't getting to
it. And all the buildings are abandoned. Hey, Bob, so now that new area you guys are in, it's probably all built up and they've added new places, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, right around the rink. But it's funny, you go one block east or west of the rink, you're like, okay, you're back into it. But no, and then there's Greektown, which we're starting to open a lot more here. So you're starting to see more and more, dining and things like that open. But the rink's got an underground beer garden. The fans are accessible to you. Like when you're walking out, you can see them. And it's just, the facilities are, you can't believe it when you walk in the locker room. I don't think the guys here know how good they have it. It's just, it's a whole nother level, from top to bottom in every sense of it's an original six franchise. That's all you really need to say. It's just, it's been a great move for us.
Does the number matter? Like, does 54, do you look at it and go, this is really weird? Are you settled into it now?
I wore it in Anaheim for the better part of 3 years. So that's an old Brian Burke thing, right? You don't get a low number until you're never going down again. And it took me a long time to never go down again. It was like, even I scored 30 one year and I was like, I'm not getting a low number. Like I'm still 54. So it doesn't feel that different for me. I wore it in the Olympics. And a lot of people always say, oh, you must have just took 5 and 4 and got 9. And I was like, that couldn't be further from the truth. That was just a number that was in my stall the first day I got to prospect camp. And for me, it was kind of like going back to the original, my rookie year, kind of, where it all began number. So really not much correlation between the number 9 and 5 and 4 being added together there. That's just what I had.
Can we go to the 2017 playoff run? Because it's something that was certainly magical and you guys were a big part of it. What do you remember the most about that run, Bobby? I would say,
honestly, I don't think I've never been part of a team that was that close during that run. It was awesome. Like it was, we had an okay year. Like we limped in, right? If you guys remember. And I was out.
Like 4 points separated, I think, being out of a playoff spot and in.
Yeah. And I wasn't playing until the last game of the year. I was out for 6 weeks. So I kind of missed that run that probably started a little beforehand, but there was just a sense like Guy was the coach and a lot of people can talk about how boring our brand of hockey was. I didn't particularly find it boring. I thought it was great. We could lull teams in and I mean, you have to think about the names that were on the team. There was a lot of offense there, right? We just curtailed it a little bit to stick to what was going to work for us. But our team was that run. You couldn't wait to get back on the road for me anyway. Like I was just excited every time. And normally you're like, God, damn it, another flight. And then you land in Pittsburgh and you got that 40-minute trek that, is just an ugly ride. Like, and then remember the traffic and we had to get off the freeway and sit still in the bus. But I don't know, those things that normally just wear and tear and nag at you, like it didn't seem like anything bothered us. That's what I would remember the most. We had fun from the puck drop of game 1 against Boston all the way through and ultimately being a goal short of going, to the Stanley Cup final. But that was just an incredible camaraderie among that team at that point.
And we were lucky. I was going to say, Wally, we were lucky because we got to play in Boston and New York leading up to Pitt. So like great cities, Bob? Like we were so lucky to spend some time there. It could have been so much worse.
It could have, yeah. Could you imagine? Yeah. It wasn't going to, I don't want to say anywhere bad, but like it wasn't going to Carolina or something. Yeah. Like I'm not.
You got to bite your tongue.
Yeah. So, but that like you're in Boston. And then the other thing was he just said practices are done. Like and that was huge. Like we would play on a Tuesday and I wouldn't put skates or anything on until Thursday. And I don't think you can't do that all year long, but like for that playoff run, like our team didn't need to skate. It was great. So you were rested every night and then you could stay up and play. We played so much schnarps and like card games and just hung out in the meeting rooms and hung out. Like it was the most fun I've ever had playing. It really was.
Okay, I want to ask about one goal and tell me if this is the biggest goal of this entire playoff run, and that's Clark MacArthur's overtime winner that sealed the series for Boston. You assist on the goal. Is that the one that if you were thinking of a goal, or I guess there's the Carlson pass to Mike Hoffman, but the one that signified really this team might have been the MacArthur goal?
Yeah, I would say that. Arguably that one, because obviously it put us into the next round, right? And then Clarkie's got his, Clarkie got to contribute after being away so long. I think, and Meth could probably touch on it more, winning game one in overtime. And like, I don't want to call my own goal, but like when we went to Pittsburgh, like, I don't know, I think we were a little intimidated at times against Pittsburgh, and getting game one down there, like stealing game one, it made our team better throughout the rest of that series, right? Like it helped immensely that we got game one.
Yeah, we instantly just realized, okay, we can play these guys. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was the best case scenario that could have happened for our team. Just instant confidence, right? Like just injected 100%. Right there.
And that wasn't a good building for us. Like even the rest of the series, it wasn't a good building for us. But to go in and steal one, and then essentially knowing, hey, we just got to take care of home ice, which we didn't do. We obviously had split games 3 and 4. But that being said, like that goal helped us get through that series to game 7 for sure. But not to take anything away from Clarkie's, because he put us into the second round.
What is your
maybe a little bit?
Yeah, I know. We'll just edit that part up. What is your most memorable moment playing hockey as a professional, or favorite game?
Oh man. You're putting me on the spot.
It's a tough one. I know.
If you're just saying like in the NHL, because I would say my first Olympic game would be up there, like getting a chance to do that. Certainly the gold medal game obviously didn't go the way we wanted, but like to play in the gold medal game in the Olympics was very highly up there. And then it's hard to take anything away from that run. I don't know if there's a single game that stands out, but I think our best game in that run was when we knocked out the Rangers in game 6, I think it was down there, Meth.
Yep.
It wasn't even like, it was our most complete game. Carl scored a big one late, but like I don't know, guys were blocking shots.
Winning at MSG, right? Like it's crazy.
Yeah, I would say that's up there. That game, honestly, God, like there's not very many times you can say that was a 20-guy effort, right? Like there's always somebody that's off, but that night didn't feel like we had anybody not going.
Okay, so I'm curious, if you were to, you've had a few hand injuries.
Oh, here we go. Hey, Wally, you got to ask him that.
Thanks.
No, wait a sec. And Meth's kind of had one. I don't know if you've heard about it. So I'm curious, would you rather have multiple smaller injuries or one catastrophic finger injury? What's better?
I would say I'd rather have the one catastrophic, just because I've had the other one, right, where you just continuously break a bone that is never going to heal properly. Like, I mean, Meth can tell you, there's very little known about what I was going through at that time, like with the shooting it up every single night. And then
just watching them come in with the needle all the time, I'd cringe.
My anxiety like was worse about needles and getting shot up than games. Like there were nights that I was like, I don't care. I'm not playing. And then you get there and like, I told Meth, I was like, I just can't do this needle again. I can't. Yeah. My finger was like this, right? And then like it would wear off on the plane, and then you're just like, I'm just ruining a dress shirt on the plane because I couldn't stop sweating.
And people don't realiase the pain, eh? Like your nerve endings in your fingertips.
It's part of my language.
Brutal. Oh, it doesn't matter. It's brutal.
It is. I would rather, like, I was like, separate my shoulder and send me out there before this finger gets shot up one more time. But like, I don't know. And then you got Meth might disagree with the answer because his kept them out. You were out for like 6 weeks, weren't you? Maybe longer.
No. I think it was 5. I think
was it okay?
5 weeks. Either way, it was long though. Yeah, for sure.
It was long, and it was just like you had no fingertip. Like
Oh, I couldn't. It was the pain. I couldn't handle the puck. Like even when I got back in the playoffs, they had to fuse together 2 fingers to protect it. I could barely I watched some game footage of like that first round, and like it was embarrassing, man. Some of the passes I was
well, fuck, like you catch a pass and the vibration sent goes right up.
It was brutal. Like, man, you could see my face on camera. Like, it's just like wincing. It was embarrassing. Anyway, I don't want to talk about that.
I loved playing for Guy. He's probably one of my favorite coaches, but the best would always be like, I played a full year like that. And you're like, you lost your fingertip and you played a full year, right? He's like, yeah, you just shoot it and then pop it back into place after you take a shot. And I'm like, I don't think that's what's going on. But I'm like, my bone's shattered. I was like, you can clearly see on the x-ray that bone is shattered, but I get it. So,
for sure.
All right. So I'll move off that. So you want to play golf in every state. And so I'm curious, you bought a motorhome one year and drove it to Ottawa in the off season. You named it
Darlene,
right?
Yeah.
Would you now, when you retire, buy a motorhome and then take the kids and the cats and the wife around the States on a motorhome to play golf?
100% no. Well,
I couldn't imagine doing that. What a nightmare.
Man, honestly, for a couple of years when it was just my wife and I, and then we did it one year when my daughter was, so young, she slept the whole way. It was feasible, but after a while, like I don't know, it got to the point where like you're Googling the next KOA to find, and you're like, it's 90 miles and I'm averaging 50 miles an hour. Like, I can't do this anymore. I remember I think it was the second year I got there and I hadn't seen any of the guys or the trainers, and I walked in and I couldn't stand upright. My back from driving was just like this. So the guy, I had to stay off the ice for 2 days so they could get my back straightened out. It was like, it might be time to get the jet on the runway, Matt. I was like, so we sold Darlene to my dad. So he's still in the family. She's still in the family, and I have access to her, but I got no interest in being in one again.
Okay, so do you two, now you guys have kids that are young, both, do you share parenting tips?
Bobby, you go ahead.
No, we haven't really. Hey, Meth, we haven't really gone back and forth on that.
There's nothing. It's survival mode, right? And the wife. Be thankful you got a good wife that really take control when she has to. Because like, if I was alone, man, I'd be in trouble.
I still haven't done like an overnight by myself or anything like that. Like, because I'll be honest, like, I sleep,
Same here.
Like a bear. Like my daughter will come in 3 times a night. I don't even know. I'm like, I can't watch these 2 animals by myself overnight. There's no way.
It's incredible what women can do. And it's like a superpower that they can do that. And I'm being like, all jokes aside, the ability to like just get up nonstop. Like Bobby, you and I are prima donnas when it comes to our sleep. I think we could agree on that, right?
100%.
Like, oh my God, imagine like having to get up. I'm going to get roasted for this now, I'm sure, but it's tough.
I'm glad I don't have Twitter. I do have Twitter. I'm so private that I follow like Meth, Wally, and you guys don't even know it, but I see you out there. I saw you tweet about Zach Smith taking your 2-goal game there the other night. And look at that face, eh?
And that would have been my only 2-goal game in my entire career. And that little snake weasel took it from me.
I don't know. Yeah, I hope he's watching this because I don't know if he tipped it. I'll be right there with you.
Well, you know what? Tweet. Yeah. So a former it was BMO reached out and he goes, actually, it was Kyle Turris that took it from you, but I'm pretty sure it was Smitty. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Was it really?
Yeah. It's all good. Moving on.
Bobby, would you ever let Meth run the music in the room?
Yeah, Meth and I agreed on the music. Yeah.
Yes.
I liked Meth.
Smitty was all like indie music and rock and stuff, right? Wasn't he? Like,
yeah, it's like if we're all gonna paint our fingernails black, we could listen to this. But I agreed with. I kind of towed the line between Smitty and Meth, where like I like the Cold War kids, so I could, that was on both the playlists, and I like that kind of stuff. Meth sometimes goes a little too much heavy metal for me, and Smitty goes a little too indie, like emo-ish kind of stuff sometimes. So
that's fair.
Yeah, but if I had anybody, like if I was listening to one playlist, it would have been Meth usually. The old big shiny tunes.
Yeah, I mean, you just throw in the throwbacks at you guys. And I didn't touch a lot of EDM. There wasn't a lot of EDM. It was mostly like rap and rock, right? And a little country. Anyway,
in our room, yeah, that's all we ever had. Yeah, and that still hasn't changed. That's every room, everywhere you go.
Well, isn't that the year that you guys had Hall & Oates as your game-winning song post-game?
For a while, yeah, wasn't it, Bobby? It had to have been. Yeah, after the game on a run, I think it was Hall & Oates, right?
Yeah. What Hall & Oates song? I mean, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think you're right, but I just can't remember the song.
Yeah, I can't either.
What's the name of it? I forget the name of it. Good Lord. But we had that Metallica intro that Clarkey brought in. Remember that MacArthur would play the intro to the Metallica concerts. What's that Western song? It's from Good, Bad, and the Ugly, right? The intro.
I wish I could remember.
I forget the name of it, but it was awesome.
That we also had Frank Zappa going during that one.
Oh, yeah. Frank Zappa. Yeah, man.
It was like, come in and that one was playing, and like, I still hear a couple songs and I go right back to that playlist from 2017. Like it's funny how a certain song can take you back to those moments. But yeah, Frank Zappa, like I have it on a playlist and I'll play it every now and again and just start laughing driving by myself.
Hey, Wally, you were talking to Bobby about the trailer and the golf. You were living by Wayno, right, Bob? Wasn't he your old neighbor? Gretzky?
Yeah. He was, I think he was like 2 doors down there at Gosler, which I just sold 2-3 months ago. I got off.
Okay. What was that like?
Gretzky is your neighbor?
Yeah. Just a couple of doors down. It's a really small community out in Idaho, kind of tucked away from everything else. And there's like 14 hockey guys there. Gretz, I think Gretz was probably one of the first, and Sheldon Surrey, Dougie Waite, Tyler Johnson's the only other active player that's there right now. Russ Courtnall, the Courtnalls, Brendan Morrow, Barrett Jackman. So we had a really good hockey crew there. Some of the guys are starting to move, out of there. The prices have just skyrocketed. So I saw an opportunity to just list my house, and I was like, I'm taking that. I'm taking that. A 200% return, you got to go. So, and I moved down the lake. I'm 20 minutes away. So I can pop up there on the boat and go see those guys. I'll still skate with Tyler and them and play golf with those guys when I can. But
what a setup. Yeah. I'm so jealous.
It is good. Yeah. I told you, man, we got a guest house now. So the invite's always there.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm right here. Hello.
Come on out, man.
As long as you leave that shirt at home, Wally.
Yeah. Damn it. So did you ever hang out with Gretz? Did you ever play golf or anything?
Yeah, I had a lot of drinks. At I shouldn't say that. Like not late nights or anything, but had a couple beers with him over the years, and had him over for dinner once or twice. And again, it's a club that was really geared towards the hockey guys when I was there. So a lot of times you just see him playing golf in the hole that you lived on, wave, say hello, chat it up for a couple minutes and go on. But yeah, he's got his schedule. Like he gets up, does his thing, and he's golfing by 10 with his group of guys. And then there's the tree bar where everybody hangs out, and pop up there for one, say hello kind of thing. And that was about it.
Does he eat dinner at 6 too?
I don't know if he's as early as we were, but yeah, he was at the clubhouse a lot. He ate dinner there just about every night.
Do you have a favorite Meth memory?
Oh.
A favorite Meth memory? I don't know.
It's a tough question.
Hey, if someone were to say, explain Mark Methot to you.
No, that's fair. You can be honest, Bob. You can bury me.
No. If I'm going to come back on the show, I can't call guys out on day one, but no, I would say Meth was probably one of the guys I was closest to. I would say Meth is very lively, brings a lot of energy, always keeps you on your toes, always pissed off that he's got to get on the ice. Like never overly excited about practice, but it's hard, like, because when I say this, I'm saying the same thing about myself, because I think we were so attuned to each other about a lot of things. That's probably why we spent so much time together. But just a great guy to have at dinner, always a good guy to catch a glass of wine with after a game. Ultimate team guy on the ice. Like, I mean, say what you want about his offensive skills, but he blocked shots. He cleaned up everything in our offensive zone. I'm glad I got to play with him. He's one of my players. We still talk. He's a close friend of mine. I'm very, very fortunate that I got to know him for a couple of years. 3-4 years, man.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, about that.
Okay.
I got nothing to say. He threw a jab in there. It was subtle. I heard it.
I had to get a jab. Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's all good.
Had to dig a little.
You were a stay-at-home defenseman. We all know that.
I know. And when I threw out that Toronto tweet, I got chirped so much about my goal scoring. Like I've got some guy highlighting my average goals per year at like 1 goal. And I'm just like 36 sheets, bud.
That's what I said. The stay-at-home defenseman making 36 sheets that not only, I think it's the hardest job to come in as in the 100% is in the NHL.
One of them for sure.
But once you make it, you're in, right? Like and then you did that and you had a nice career and now you got a podcast with Wally.
Oh, the mighty have fallen.
It's certainly taken a turn for the worse. Okay. 2 quick questions. One, what does Bobby Ryan do after hockey? Is there any kind of coaching or GM or any kind of management for you?
No. No, I'm thinking I'll probably disappear into the mountains and
sure.
And, yeah, 100%. No, just going to be a dad. I got a 4-year-old that loves to dance and she's doing her recitals and stuff. So I'm going to be there for all that. A 2-year-old that if he wants to play, I'll help, but I have no interest in ever being behind the bench for any of that kind of stuff. Just be a dad and play some golf.
You have your 34th birthday coming next week. I want to know, does Bobby Ryan have a particular birthday meal?
No, I'm going to call my wife out. For like, it's like 7 years running now. She can't bake. My wife's an unbelievable cook and we share cooking, but she's just a terrible baker. So I think we're on 5 years of truly awful desserts that she's tried to make. And I know she was asking me what I want this year. And so I'm like Googling no bake desserts, try and ease it on her. But there's always some kind of peanut butter or Butterfinger type dessert. And usually a glass of wine, which isn't the case these days. So I dropped the wine and I picked up a massive soda addiction, unfortunately. So like, what a loser. I'm buying craft sodas online, black cherry and stuff. So that's what I'll be looking forward to.
It's all good. Good for you.
But yeah, it's a much healthier habit. Well, I don't know if it's healthier, but it's a better habit to have. Yeah, I had a soda last night. It had 180 calories and 50 grams of carbs. I was like, this is not it. It was like, I could have had 3 glasses of wine and 0 carbs, but it is what it is. So it's the better decision.
Okay. I want to bring up a story before we go. A lot of people know you to be a really good guy, but they don't necessarily know how genuine you are. So I want to prove to them through this story. You talk about cake. So let me set this up. You came to the team and 5 days beforehand is my son's birthday, who turned 6. His name is Ryan. So he had a cake with a Sens jersey. It's named Ryan on the back with a big 6. So I always joke that Ryan had the first Bobby Ryan merch before you showed up because your first number was 6. A couple spring forward, a few weeks or whatever, and Ryan had made you a card for some reason, whatever it was. He's like, can you give this to Bobby? I'm like, okay. So I promised my kid I would do it. I didn't want to let him down. So I hand you the piece of paper with some drawing, and I'm like, you can throw this away. I just promised my kid I would give it to you. And then Ryan kept, and you didn't, you just took it. And I don't know whatever happened. I kept giving you papers after papers, and it wasn't for a few months. And I met Danielle, and she's like, you're Ryan's dad. We have these pictures from your son up on our fridge at home. And I was like, that one is the one that'll always stick with me, of like, you don't have any idea who Ryan is necessarily. You met him once, you took him into the room, you were so good to him, but he's always had that Ryan jersey and he's always wanted to be Bobby Ryan because of the way you treated him. So for that, people don't really realize how good a person you are.
Thank you. That meant a lot. I try to keep, especially when it comes from guys that I see and like get to know a little bit. I either hang it in my stall, the change stall at the rink or whatever, or I take them home. And yeah, so it definitely, they made the fridge, and I see Ryan's doing well. I see him on Gong shows doing some photo ops now every now and again. I thought I saw him doing a photo shoot, wasn't he?
He's on camera more than me. Yeah.
Well, somebody had to get the good looks. Skip's generation. That's okay.
He looks like his wife. My wife. He's lucky. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's what we hope for all our kids, right?
Oh yeah.
But no, I wish them well for me. Please do.
And from all of us here in Ottawa, because we miss you dearly, we appreciate everything you've done. Can't wait to see you back sometime so we can cheer you again once time on the ice. But we appreciate your time once again. And so thanks for coming on.
My pleasure, fellas. I'll send you a bill, Meth. See you, boys. Thanks again.
All right.
Thanks for having
me.
Coming up after the break on the Wally Methot Show, we actually have a giveaway that includes a Bobby Ryan piece of memorabilia. Don't go anywhere.
You won't have too many people signing up for that.
Okay, everybody. Thanks to Bobby Ryan and to Terry Marcotte for both being part of our big show. The next show comes your way on Monday, of course, mainly right here on YouTube. Also, you can catch it on other podcast platforms like Apple and Spotify. And before we go, Meth, big surprise. Listen, we've blown the budget and we've got a Bobby Ryan bobblehead to give away. Right. So here's what you got to do. Yeah, no, you can't, and you can't enter. Okay. Just so we're clear. So here we go. We call this trivial trivia. What was the name of Bobby Ryan's motorhome he drove to Ottawa? So send your answer on Twitter using hashtag Wally and Methot. We'll reveal the winner in Monday's show. We'll try and see if we can find something else free to give away. But until then, Meth, good luck. I need you to go get some new shirts, and we'll see you on Monday.
It's all good. Yeah. Sorry,
I don't think Craig's happy with you right now.
Oh, the dog barged in here.
Hey, Mate.
Yeah.
That's Baxter.
Yeah. Oh, he's the best.
Baxter.
Oh,
hi, Baxter.
Number one.
Can you say
hello?
Hello.
Can you say hello? Come on.